Welcome to Do What You Love sessions. This is officially my first show here at Miami Community Radio. I'm super excited to bring this concept of Do What You Love over here. The whole point of this is to have music and to share the music, right? Because I love music. I love everything about house music, melodic, techno, melodic house music. But my second favorite thing is also sharing with people that love it, sharing the passion, the ambition. And that's why in this show, what I want to do is bring people in the community in Miami that share that passion, that ambition, that vision for the community, for music, and not only DJ back to back, but also talk to them a little bit, get to know them, and yeah, overall just share the love for music that we have. So my first guest is actually the person that introduced me to Miami Community Radio in the beginning. He had a show earlier today. His name is Bryan Andrew Medina. We'll tell the story of how we met, which is actually a fun story. But before that, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, man. Well, we met in a really interesting way. I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to doing research online before I sign to anything or before I do any type of deal or anything. So I went ahead and was doing all my due diligence on a label, just all of it from top to bottom. So I went through every single artist, checking stats, checking numbers, location, everything, literally just the whole 9 yards. And then I came across Mark, and which is Helium. And I came across him and I saw Miami. And I went, oh, okay, let me DM him. And Mark at this point knows that I just go ahead and follow anybody that's in music in Miami. And I talk to them. And one thing goes to the next. And then a few days later, we meet up. And then now at this point, we have releases on the same label. And we got along really well, which is the best part of everything, to get along with someone and make music together, because the other day we were making some tracks together. So yeah, I mean, we both have something bigger than anything in common, which is we both love making music, which is, to me, the coolest thing.
Yeah, so I wake up one day, I get a DM on Instagram, and this guy from Miami says he's released on the same label as me. So I'm like, we gotta meet up, So we went to the studio, had a session, made some music, and just vibed. And from then we became friends. So talk to us about your background a little bit. Let's go a little bit back to when you started with music. I know you didn't start especially in house and techno. You have a rock background. So talk to us about your background and anything you think people would be interested to know about what brought you to where you are right now.
Yeah, actually, I used to at the beginning when I was and this is at the beginning, at 11 years old, I used to hate dance music. I used to really, really strongly not like any type of dance music at all. I always had thought it was cheesy, that it was repetitive, and that it was boring and stuff like that. And over the next few years, I was I am so wrong. I actually love this. It happens over and over again, but with the smallest changes in detail. And for me, I'm a really detail-oriented person. Like hearing just the smallest amount of change and progression throughout a track is what I really like. And it eventually went from, hey, I don't like dance music at all, to wow, I love this. Like any type, any style, any type of extreme production. But I came from rock, and that's the big change. I used to play progressive metal. I used to play psych rock and all that, and I still do. That's the thing. It really shifted from, hey, I like this and I don't like that, to I like pretty much every genre. Studied jazz, studied classical, and just really love music for what it does to people, the different types of connections that it makes, how it makes me feel when I play it, and how it makes others feel when I perform it. And then just literally standing in a crowd watching people's reactions, to it could be anything, just the best build up you've ever heard, to a really cool drop or whatever, and or just the beat, or just grooving, or listening to IDM and just having no drums whatsoever is cool too. That's, I love sound design, and I have a really long story with music. It's been a journey of 15 years. So yeah, but in general, at this point where it came from, hey, I don't like this, came to, man, I love every genre. So yeah.
What kind of sound would you say right now defines you the most, or what kind of sound are you pursuing within the space?
White noise. Actually, I think right now what defines me the most isn't specifically a type of sound, but a type of design where I go ahead and I use the my mastering chain, and I use that as a part of the mixing process. And from the beginning of my mixes, I go ahead and put the mastering chain on so I know what it sounds like right at the end of the product. And that allows me to make some really, really wild decisions when making, where I was thinking of everything. Before, I was thinking more methodical than I am now. Like now I'm thinking more like, hey, how does this feel? And I've always been a feel-oriented person, and learning mixing over the last few years, or learning how to mix to the extent that I can mix, is really just a process of trial and error. It's really been just, hey, does this sound good? Does it not sound good? And then testing tracks live, seeing what sounds good in a venue. And that's why, like for me, I always really love playing originals. Because it's like, okay, this is like trial by fire for me, where it's like, hey, does this sound good live? All the time. Does it sound good live? Does it sound good live? Does it sound good live? Because in the end of the day, when you're listening on headphones, you can have an incredible sound design, but live is a different experience altogether. And so that's where I've been recently. Like, live music has been really the focus. Like, can this translate well to any speaker system? So.
Talk to us about that, because you have a cool concept with your live show. You do some DJing, which we'll do in a little bit, but you also have a live, electronic music band setup, which I've seen a lot of artists now that are turning less into DJs, more into like electronic music bands, and you see it in the community like starting to like pop off with more events that are promoting live electronic music additional to DJing. Talk to us about how you run your setup, and also do you see this as like the future, where like electronic music artists are not just performing as DJs anymore? They're now performing like with bands, with live synth, playing, singing live.
I feel like it's a good way to progress forward, like to say, hey, I can go and DJ this club, and then I could also go and perform like, live somewhere too. I feel like maybe about 5 years ago was when like a shift started happening, when you saw like bands like Motorrat release 3 and Apparat and all these different groups that really just started live performing their songs and saying, wow, like this is electronic music but played live. And the shift came and it got pretty cool, because at the same time while all this is going on, then like electronic music started like getting its resurgency, especially back in Miami. So I feel like it's pretty cool for a lot of DJs now to say, hey, I can go ahead and pick up an instrument and find a way to get a mixer and plug right into a set of decks and just go immediately and play whatever you want. And I've been seeing a lot of people really take on that, like the hybrid approach, which for me, it was all backwards. Like I started first as a synthesizer guy, and then I moved into DJing. And that was really where my approach kind of came from, just saying, hey, I'm going to come from this world into dance music rather than the other way around, like I'm starting with dance music and then going into this. But I feel like the modern setup is, it could range. That's the thing. Like you can go on tour with a USB stick. You can go on tour with anything, really. You don't even need to pack a suitcase. You say, hey, that we're all really connected now. So you can say, hey, I have a gig in New York or LA or whatever, and then just fly over, play it, come back, and you don't need to really spend the money in the insane amount of overhead that you did before. Like a lot of places already have their lighting set up and everything. And then you could also be a little bit like crazy, like I am, where you could say, hey, I want to, instead of taking a bag full of clothes, take a bag full of synthesizers and like go with that, and and risk all your gear, but whatever.
I'm excited to start DJing soon, so let's talk about this set. What kind of music are we gonna play? What's the vibe? What can people expect?
I don't know.
So we love to improvise, which is exactly what we're gonna do. But I think what we're gonna do, and what I love doing with back-to-back sets and with this show, is kind of like a ping pong or tennis style DJing. Where like I'll play a song and then he'll use that song, get inspired, play one of his songs, and then we can just kind of go back and forth. But I don't know, I'm feeling some like melodic house, melodic techno, something a little deep. We both kind of love that kind of style when we make music together, like deep melodic house, techno music. But like I said, he pulled up a song that's on loop that you've been hearing for the last few minutes. We'll start with that one, and then we'll see where this takes us. Are you ready?
Rock and roll, guys. Let's do it. MCR Season 5, Part 2. This is the second show of the day. All right.